In the sun-drenched valley known as the Cradle of Dreams, lived two young beings, Puku and Pyuki. They weren't quite human, not quite animal, but spirits of aspiration, woven from the same fabric of youthful hope and boundless curiosity. Puku was vibrant and impulsive, always rushing headfirst into new adventures. Pyuki was thoughtful and observant, preferring to study the path before taking a step. Their shared dream was to reach the Great Star Peak, a legendary mountain whose summit was said to touch the very heavens, revealing wisdom to those brave enough to reach it. Many had tried, but few had ever returned with anything more than tales of impossible climbs and crushing disappointments. The first climb, impulsiveness vs. observation. One crisp morning, with hearts full of zeal, Puku and Pyuki began their ascent. Puku, with boundless energy, bounded up the initial slopes, leaping over rocks and brushing past thorny bushes. "Come on, Pyuki, the peak won't climb itself," he'd shout, already a dozen paces ahead. Pyuki, however, moved differently. She paused, examining the loose scree, testing her footing on mossy rocks, and often taking a slightly longer but more stable route. She noticed the small, nearly invisible signs of ancient paths, the faint scent of rain on certain stones, and the subtle shifts in the wind. Soon, Puku, charging ahead, found himself stuck. A narrow ledge, seemingly solid from below, crumbled beneath his foot, leaving him clinging precariously to a jutting root. Fear tightened his chest. "Pyuki, help!" Quote. Pyuki, though a little way behind, had already anticipated such a spot. She had seen the fractured rock patterns from afar. Calmly, she found a sturdy, winding path that led above Puku, where she could drop a strong whine. With Pyuki's steady guidance and Puku's powerful pull, he was soon safe. The lesson. Puku learned that sometimes, rushing can lead to unnecessary danger, and a moment's pause can save hours of struggle. Pyuki learned that while caution is vital, sometimes a quick, strong response is needed. It was their first glimpse of how their contrasting strengths could complement each other. The middle slopes, the weight of failure and the power of persistence. As they climbed higher, the air thinned, and the path grew steeper. They encountered treacherous ice patches and formidable rock faces. There were days when they would climb for hours, only to realize they had taken a wrong turn and had to descend, losing precious progress. Puku, usually so full of fire, started to waver. "It's no use, Pyuki, we keep falling back. Maybe the Great Star Peak isn't meant for us." His shoulders slumped, reflecting the weariness in his spirit. Pyuki, who sometimes stumbled more subtly in her meticulous planning, knew the sting of setbacks deeply. She recalled a time she had spent days mapping out a route, only for it to be blocked by a sudden rock slide. But instead of letting it break her, she had found an alternative, albeit a more challenging one. "Puku," she said, her voice soft but firm, "the mountain isn't just about reaching the top. It's about what we learn each time we fall, and how we choose to get back up. Every wrong turn teaches us a path not to take. Every slip teaches us how to hold on tighter next time." She remembered a wise old spirit in the valley who once told her, "A fall isn't a failure unless you stay on the ground." Pyuki shared this wisdom, reminding Puku of all they had overcome. Together, they found a small, sheltered alcove and rested, sharing stories of their favorite memories from the valley, rekindling the spark of their shared dream. The lesson. They both learned that failure is an inevitable part of any great endeavor. The true measure isn't in avoiding falls, but in the resilience to rise again, dust themselves off, and keep moving forward, drawing strength from memories and shared purpose. The summit push, embracing the unknown and finding inner strength. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the foot of the final ascent, a sheer, icy wall that seemed to disappear into the clouds. The wind howled, and their energy was nearly spent. Puku, though tired, felt a surge of his old determination. "We've come too far to stop now," he declared, scanning for handholds. Pyuki, however, hesitated. This was unlike anything they had faced. Her meticulous mind found no obvious solutions, no predictable patterns. "Puku," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly, "I don't know how to do this. My maps are useless here." Puku, seeing Pyuki's rare moment of uncertainty, knew it was his turn to lead. "Then we make our own map. Pyuki, we trust our instincts, and we trust each other." He pointed to a faint shimmer in the ice. "What if we chip away here? Just enough to make a small step." Together, they began. Puku, with his raw strength, chipped at the ice. Puki, with her precision and eye for balance, tested each foothold, guiding Puku where to place his tools, ensuring their progress was safe. When one tired, the other encouraged. When one slipped, the other held fast. As they neared the top, a strange thing happened. The physical struggle faded, replaced by a profound sense of peace. They weren't just climbing a mountain. They were climbing within themselves, shedding fears and doubts with every upward motion. They realized the true challenge wasn't the peak itself, but the journey that had shaped them. The summit, the realization. At last, exhausted but exhilarated, they pulled themselves over the final ledge. They stood on the great star peak. The world stretched beneath them, a tapestry of valleys and clouds. Above, the stars twinkled so close they felt they could reach out and touch them. But it wasn't the breathtaking view that was the greatest revelation. It was the quiet understanding that settled within them. The wisdom wasn't a secret scroll or a mystical voice. It was the sum of their experiences, the transformation they had undergone. Puku, the impulsive, now approached challenges with thoughtful consideration. Puki, the cautious, now faced the unknown with a daring spirit. They had learned to trust themselves, each other, and the process of life itself. They understood that life isn't about avoiding the falls, but learning how to land. It's not about always knowing the right path, but daring to explore. And it's not about having all the answers, but learning to ask the right questions and trusting your inner compass. Returning to the cradle of dreams, Puku and Puki were no longer just spirits of aspiration. They were guides, their eyes reflecting the quiet strength of the great star peak. They carried the lessons of the mountain in their very being, ready to share the true wisdom. Life's greatest teachings are found not at the destination, but in every stumble, every helping hand, every moment of doubt overcome, and every step taken on the incredible journey.